Hello, hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Next Level You podcast. I am here with Deidre Sirianni. And you guys, I met Deidre through the mastermind that I'm a part of right now with Lori and Chris Harder. And over the span of the last 2 to 3 weeks, I have been batch recording collabs with these members that are in the mastermind with me. And it's it's been very eye-opening. I have learned more in these 2 to 3 weeks than I think I have in, like, the last 5 to 6 months. I mean, it's just been so eye-opening working with these, I feel like expanders. I mean, I feel like they are doing big things in their business, and it's just been really eye-opening for me in the best way possible. I can tell you right now, I'm only a month into this mastermind, and it's gonna open me wide open. Like, I just have a feeling like going into 2026, it's gonna be a big year, so stay tuned for that. But I am here to talk with Deidre today. I want you to understand, like, there's so many different rabbit holes that we can go down. She is a jack of all trades. She is a best-selling author. She's a TEDx speaker, a business coach. She is an intuitive speaker and business coach. I mean, like, so many different hats that she wears. And I have a few topics I want to make sure we hit on today, Deirdre, but like, why don't you introduce yourself first and then we'll just see organically where the conversation flows.
I love that. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. This is going to be so fun,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see where it goes and how I can just pour into your listeners and your audience. I love storytelling because
Yeah.
storytelling is like really the essence of how we create a personal brand and how people get to know who we are as people and how we got to where we are. So I'm going to just share a story with you that was
Yeah.
deeply impactful for me. So, about 9 years ago, I was standing in my kitchen and I was putting my fingers through my hair, as us ladies with long hair do. And my
Yeah.
hair's always been my thing. I've always had long hair. I grew up with two older brothers. So, it was like my identity, right? My long hair.
Yeah.
So, about 9 years ago, I'm putting my fingers through my hair in my kitchen and I noticed that something feels off. So, I grab my phone, I race to the bathroom, I put it on camera mode and I start angling it at the back of my head with the mirror, like trying to figure out like what's going on in the back of my head. And I see that I have a bald spot that's a couple inches wide, big on the top of my head, back corner of my head. And
Oh
I
my
remember,
gosh.
yeah, I was like, okay, how did this happen? How do I
Yeah,
fix
how
it?
devastating.
Right?
Yeah,
Clearly, the universe is trying to tell me something because it's going after my hair, right? So I was having a
yeah.
freak out moment, and so I walked to my kitchen, back to my kitchen to sit down for a moment, just to like ground my body. And that's when I heard this voice come out of me and say, "If you don't listen to your soul, you're going to manifest cancer and die in the next year." And I had never, like, I didn't know what this voice was. But then I had a flashback to about 5 years prior. And I'm outside. I have friends and family to both sides of me. My friends playing the guitar, that song by James Blunt that's like, "It's beautiful, it's true."
Yeah.
And I have pink roses in my hand. And I'm walking down the aisle outside at this beautiful venue about to marry the man that I think I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And this same voice says, "This just isn't going to work." And I had never heard this voice before. I really did believe that I was doing what I was meant to be doing. So I shoved it down and I said, "I do." Now I'm sitting at my kitchen table having this flashback. And I'm like, oh, I have four different types of autoimmune disease that the doctors at the time couldn't really help me with. I
Wow.
had chronic pain in my neck and shoulders to the point, Stephanie, where my massage therapist actually fired me.
A word.
Yeah, she's like, "I just can't help you anymore." And I had depression to the point of having a vision of ending my life. And from the outside looking in, everyone thought I was the happiest person they knew. I was doing all the things in business. I used to own a yoga company. And I had all the external validation that, hey, this girl's got it going on. She's happy, all the things. She's healthy, she's successful. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, every time I'm around my husband, my entire body would contract. He was always telling me who to be, how to be, what I can say, what I can't say, what I can wear, what I can't wear. And I remember this time that I was leaving our place and I just got a job in television. I was so excited because I used to work in TV and radio before owned a yoga company. And I was practicing the intro and the extra for the guests that I was going to be hosting live with a television network. And I'm leaving our place. I'm so excited. And he puts his hand on my shoulder. He leans in really close and he says, "Don't say anything dumb. I don't want you to look stupid on TV." And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, could it be that this entire time, ever since I didn't listen to this voice that, when I was in my early 20s, had no idea what it
Mhm.
was, still was figuring
Yep.
it out. Okay. Could it be that this entire time my soul has been speaking to me through these symptoms of dis-ease,
Yeah.
disharmony, and I
Yeah.
just haven't been listening? So
Yep.
this took me on a path of getting radically honest with myself,
Mhm.
having courage to look in the mirror and be like, okay, well, I guess my body and my intuition was talking to me. I didn't fully understand it, but I do now. And I created this life that I've been in, this relationship I was in for 8 years. And I have to take massive inspired action to make changes. And so that's what I did. I was on the path already of like doing the healing work. I was studying with a shaman, learning
Mhm.
the language of the soul probably 5 years before this epiphany in my kitchen and losing the chunk of hair. But this journey brought me down the path of really looking at the things I didn't want to look at, taking radical responsibility. And through doing this work and also the language of the soul work, which is probably the foundational part of who I am as a person, but what I teach and lead in all of my containers, which we could call the intuitive work,
Mhm.
is I was able to heal myself of 3 of those 4 autoimmune diseases within 3 months.
Wow. Wow.
Totally gone. They have not
Yeah.
come back. My pain that I had for 6 plus months in my neck and shoulders, gone. Depression, gone. Food sensitivities, gone. Anxiety, gone. And then eventually, I had the courage to leave a mentally and emotionally abusive relationship that I was in for 8 years that was
Mhm.
causing my body to shut down. So the question is like, hey, let's talk a little bit about you. You help people with
Yeah.
storytelling, you help people with business, and you're an intuitive. Well, the truth is, I was so out of alignment because I didn't understand the language of my soul. I didn't understand my intuition. So I learned it, I mastered it, and now it's the foundation of everything that I teach. But also, I studied trauma. I did a TEDx on trauma. I love learning about trauma and psychology, which I'm sure you can appreciate.
Yeah.
I just, I've made it my mission to transform my trauma, my pain, my past into radical self love, but also a gift through birthing new programs that are of conscious entrepreneurship. Like, I love working with entrepreneurs who are like, hey, I got some shit in my closet. I hope I can say
Yeah.
that on the show. Didn't ask ahead
Yeah.
of time.
Nope.
I got
You
some
can.
stuff in my closet that I
Yeah.
haven't dealt with, some trauma. And it's like when you transform your trauma, you heal it and you turn it into a gift for other. That's where
Yeah.
planetary change happens, but also internally. And that's where our
Yeah.
intuition can also come online.
Holy shit. That is such a story to start the episode on. Wow. I had no idea. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. There's so many rabbit holes I feel like we could go down with that one story. First of all, when you were talking about your hair, like for me, I take a lot of pride in my hair. Literally, the last time I cut it, like significantly cut it, was 4 years ago. So it was 4 years into my fertility journey. And
Mm,
I remember being so anxious about cutting it because and I would always get anxious about, like, cutting more than, like, 2 inches off.
right.
For some reason, I would just, like, get in my head, like, "What if this never grows back?" And people would always tell me, like, "You're being ridiculous, like, hair grows back." But then after I did that significant cut, I also got diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, and my hair did not grow back. I mean, like, it's been significantly longer in the past, and it's, like, stayed at this length for the last 4 years because of the thyroid condition. And so I think that was my intuition talking. I mean, yes, sometimes we have those fear-based thoughts that are limiting beliefs, and I know you need to know the difference between the 2, but I also think our intuition tries to give us warning signs, tries to like, "Hello, pay attention," and that's clearly what you had experienced when you experienced that flashback. That's just amazing. And how many times in life, though, do we just, like, hush that voice up and try to, like, stuff it down
It's
all the time?
really easy to do it when you're unwilling to look at that part of your life. Like, I was
Yeah.
an overachiever. People still think I am a high achiever. I am a high achiever, but I
Yeah.
was like an overachiever. Like, I was like,
Okay.
do, goal, goal,
Yeah.
goal, goal. I was very like unconsciously achieving goals. I mean, I was consciously doing it, but I was
Sure.
unconsciously avoiding things that didn't feel good in my life because I didn't have the
Mhm.
tools to deal with it. I didn't know what my intuition was. And we're modeled so much by our parents too, like how they live and what's normal in
Yeah.
relationships and what's
Yep.
tolerable and the voices in our head and our deep belief systems from childhood. But also, interestingly enough, and I don't want to go too much into this because this is not fully my specialty. It is the language of the soul and all of that. But I just
Yeah.
had someone on my podcast yesterday, a good friend of mine who's a naturopath, and she talks about the connection between our hormones, which if you have a thyroid condition, and our
Yep.
emotions and our relationships and how they're all connected. And it's
Yep.
so true that so many things that we develop, autoimmune is our body essentially kind of attacking itself or being on extra defense kind of ourself, which
Yeah.
I had autoimmune diseases. And it's like it's so much more common in women than men because if we look on like a global scale, women's voices and emotions and quality of life has been not as important as men. And it's hard to say that, but it's just the actual reality of truth. So is it surprising that more women have like thyroid issues and
Right.
these autoimmune and men? Well, not really, because we've been taught to self-sacrifice for the greater good of everyone else and not have boundaries. And so we're in the shift right now where more women are starting their own businesses, are becoming financially, successful or
Yeah.
sustainable on their own. They're relying
Yeah.
less on men. Less women want to be in relationship. Most women would actually prefer not to be in a relationship. There was a study done. I wish I could reference who did the study, but more women like the happiest person that's a man is a married man because he benefits from a relationship.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
happiest woman is a single woman, not a married
Mm.
woman. So there are
Interesting.
statistics on this, and it's interesting to look at, not making men wrong. It's just as women, we have to realign and get really good at listening to our intuition and doing this deeper work so that we can have a great life. And I think part of it is stepping into our power, using our voice so that we can support other people on their journey.
Yeah, I love that. So well said. I do really want to dig more into the storytelling and intuitive side of things, but I also want to point out that everything that you shared about healing your mental health and your autoimmune conditions, your physical health symptoms, like that is just proof that healing our physical ailments and mental health ailments, healing that there is very much an emotional and spiritual connection to that. It is not solely just healing yourself physically. Like, you really do need to look at like whole body health and wellness. And there
Oh,
absolutely is a spiritual aspect to that. There absolutely is an emotional aspect to that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times in my private practice that I'm telling clients that if you choose to hold on to anger or resentment or guilt or shame, it will manifest itself in your body through
right.
some kind of a physical ailment or disease. And that's just and that's actually science backed. Like that's not anything woo woo. Like that's legit.
It's
And
funny
your
because
story proves that.
'Cause woo woo, I love what you just shared, by the way. Woo woo is just what science hasn't caught up to. Essentially, that's
Yes.
what it is.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's like, oh, it's like I used to think like past version of me, probably this version of me 9 years ago before I really I mean, I was studying with a shaman. That was like 15 plus years ago, but I would have thought the version of me, what I share on podcasts, what I share on stages, what the experiences I've had, I'd be like, "Can you lock her up? She's effing crazy." Like
Sure.
she's off the rocker, but the higher level of consciousness that we get to, more we understand how the universe, we are in a universal space works, and we understand what's actually truth. And we're not talking about labeling things, we're just looking things as they are. That's what awakening is. But when we're at lower levels of awakening, lower levels of consciousness, we haven't like fully woken up to who we are yet, the truth of who we actually are, what we're really here to do, and also what's going on in the world, seeing things as they are, not how we want to see them. When we look to people who are more conscious than us, like a couple layers up, there's actually a layered system to this. We think that they're crazy. So anyone that you're like, oh wow, they're totally crazy, they just might be. Not always, okay? I'm not saying for every single scenario. Some people might actually have some stuff going on where it's not actually in truth, right? Like it's not the truth. But a lot of the time when we're looking to people who are at a higher level of consciousness, we think it's weird. We think they're crazy because we haven't had a direct experience yet. The shaman I worked with 15 years ago, that's like, oh yeah, like your knee pain is connected to relationship stuff. And I'm like, this woman does not know what she's talking about. She's
Right.
crazy. It's like, actually, that's true. I started to do the work on certain things. I'm like, oh, my knee pain it's activated in these scenarios. Okay, there's some truth here. And like the deeper I went, the more I discovered. So it's just interesting around all this. And the crazy thing about shame, it's so hard to change because on a foundational level, if you have shame, which you know about, something's wrong with me, I'm defective.
Yep.
So how
Yep.
do we change that? It's like tough to do that work. Anger as women, it's not okay to express. We got to keep it in,
Right.
journal about it. It's really hard
Right.
to journal out anger. Let me tell you,
Mhm. Yeah.
you got to punch a bag at the gym. You got to go for a run. You got to scream. You got to do
Right.
something to get that out of you. Turns into depression. If I cannot
Yes.
express my anger externally, it's going to point back at me. I'm going to have liver issues and I'm going to be depressed. And so it's like so important as women for us to feel our emotions.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. I just like went off. I was like, let's talk about it.
No, I'm here for it. I really am. I just feel like people have such limiting beliefs around like healing their bodies and that it's primarily physical and maybe some mental, but it's like, nope, there's an emotional aspect. There's a spiritual aspect to this. Trauma is touching a lot of it. And I do think as women, because a lot of us do carry that like feminine wound from generations prior where like you were told to not speak your truth. You were told to just be seen but not be heard, whether it be as children or as full grown women. And so we all carry that wound. And now I feel like more often than not, we have women now in today's society who are trying to heal that. But there unfortunately are ailments tied to it, I feel. What would you say? So, because you healed so many different things from your physical ailments to your mental health, do you feel like you can tie it to like one primary thing? I mean, your healing journey was multifaceted, but can you tie it to like one thing that you really focused on in your healing journey? Or is it really just like multiple things?
It's really about that three-step process, of course. Like, did I, I specialized in trauma, so I have trauma release
Right.
techniques that I've used, and it helped
Yeah.
me so much. I could say, 1,000 things help me and like, "Hey, meditation." Actually, I don't meditate. Everyone thinks I meditate. Like, I've had people who are like, "Hey, do you do transcendental meditation?" I'm like, "No." Everyone's like, "You look like you do." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I think
Interesting.
for me, it's the honesty, like radical honesty. And I'm not talking about like radical honesty, like you're spewing it out at other people. Like there's this whole thing around speak your truth. And it has to do with like not being conscious of how you're impacting people and the way you're delivering it. So like that's like potentially a step on the journey. But I'll give you an example. So when I was about 9 or 10 years ago, I went to something called Landmark Education. Have you heard of it?
No, I have not.
So it's like this big organization where it's personal development. I don't agree with it. I
Okay.
don't, but I appreciate it because I went through it and it helped me with something. So I'm not going to
Okay.
knock it, but I am going to tell you about
Right.
my experience of it. So you're in a cold room for a couple of days. Cold room just keeps you alert, but it's a colder room. And basically, I was sponsored by a company that sent me just as like a gift, like, hey, go and experience these trainings or whatever. I'm like, cool. And I go, and we're basically told to forgive, 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 let go, let go, let go. And I'm like, okay. And so we're like really deep in this experience. People are going up to the microphone in front of a couple hundred people, talking about what they're forgiving, what they're letting go of. But also, there's this element of making a phone call. Make a phone call to someone that you need to forgive.
My word.
And so for me, like, I love psychology, but also I don't
Mhm.
love this because I think it's a bit dangerous. In
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
context, my experience, not everyone's experience.
Mhm.
So I did my TEDx on this, but I was raped when I was 19 by someone I
Okay.
knew. and I, pushed it down. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't tell anyone. And it really impacted me because I had a hard time being in my body. I always covered up my body. I didn't feel safe. I actually think that's where the shame started for me
Mm,
with like something's really wrong with me.
yeah.
Um, there's like a lot of psychological things that happened in that experience, which if people want to learn more about it, they can watch my TEDx.
Yeah.
Um, I years after I was in university in Calgary, different province, different city from where I knew this man. And I remember bumping into him in my university, my last year of school. And
Wow.
I started to have extreme PTSD. I'd go to the bathroom and throw up. Every time I'd go around that corner from, the program that I was in to the main area, I'd get panic attacks. I actually had to go on a medication, probably the only time I've really been on a medication for anything other than like, hey, antibiotics, you've got whatever going on, to fall asleep at night because I had such bad stomach pain, such bad anxiety. And the crazy thing was the guy that I ended up marrying, I was dating at the time when I was experiencing this PTSD, where we were doing long distance. And I wanted to report that I was seeing this guy at school and I didn't feel safe. And he started like stalking me and like following me home in a vehicle, like harassing me. And I really felt like I had no one to talk to about it. I went to a counselor. She's like, "We can't do anything." Like, he's basically a
What?
teacher. Yeah.
What the
Yeah, I was like, "I wanna report it in the school. We can't do anything." And then I was dating a police officer that I was with for over a year at the time, and I was like, "I need to report this. I don't feel safe." And he's like, "Don't report it." Like, he told me not to report it.
my god.
Yeah, so I'm at this point where I'm like, I feel so like unsupported emotionally. I didn't even understand my emotions at the time, but I was in
Mhm.
like extreme PTSD for about a year. A year. I wasn't on the sleeping pills consistently for a year, but probably a good 6 months where I kind of took them here and there as I needed them. But my health was on the down low. I didn't go to my graduation for broadcasting. I stopped being around people. I started isolating. That's, I think, a big part of the shame too, is when you're going through something heavy, you're asking for support from people that you think would emotionally support you, and then they
Yeah.
can't show up for you. So,
Right.
anyways, long story short, years after, so many years after, which is about 10 years ago, I'm back in Vancouver where I was living, and I was in this landmark education program, like a 2 or 3 day event. And they're like, you need to call someone that you need to forgive. So, guess who I call? I call this guy, okay, who was
The one that was
at the school, the guy that
yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly, the guy
Mhm.
who raped me that I was at the school
Yeah.
with, and he was harassing me, and I had extreme PTSD, right? So, I'm like, I call this guy and I tell him I forgive him, okay? And it sounds really, like, empowering, and the empowerment stage is definitely a part of the healing stage, but it doesn't end there, right? So, I call him and I'm, like, shaking. I'm in this bathroom at, like, this hotel pacing back and forth. Like, it was not anyways, I don't like how they approached it, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I would do things differently now if I
Yeah.
was my past self. But, I call him, I forgive him, and then I have this realization that he is this way because this is how his father treated him. Like, I just had this, like,
Absolutely.
download of, like,
Yep.
oh, because I know who his father is. And I'm like, "Oh, it's because his father treated him a certain way, so this is why he's like this." And I was like,
Right.
"I
It's
forgive you, but I want to acknowledge that it happened," because I never told anyone because outside of my boyfriend at the time that I was doing long distance with, who I later ended up marrying. I was married to at the time when I did this phone call too. So
yeah.
a lot of dysfunctional things in that relationship.
Sure,
And
sure.
I'm like, "Yeah, I forgive you," and then I'm like, "But I just need to acknowledge what happened. Like, I can't not acknowledge that this happened." Right?
Good.
And, then I was like, "And I understand why you're this way because of your father," and I didn't say anything else. And then he completely lost it. And I
Wow.
was like,
Wow.
yeah, so completely lost it, which because there's truth there. There's like a hit
Yeah.
of
That
force.
cycle of abuse.
Yeah, and so I went back to the room, 'cause we're all encouraged to come to the mic in front of 200 strangers and talk about the person that we forgave. And I go up to the mic and I'm like, "Okay, like, I called this man who, like, raped me, 5 years ago or how many ever years ago it was, and I told him that I forgave him. But then I said to the mic, "But I know that it happened because of how his father treated him,
Mhm.
and, you know, I I forgave him, but, like, I can't forget what happened." And the guy on
Mhm.
the mic, the main guy, shames me for it. He's like, "Well, you could have done better. You coulda just given him forgiveness and love. You didn't have to bring that up." And I remember I walked back to my seat. This was a disempowered Deidre, and I was like, it felt like there were no spaces for me to actually be like, "Yes, you can be angry. Yes, you can be
Right.
holy shit, you called someone who did this, that was courage." And
Yeah.
I just don't think that he deserved that phone call. Like, if I look back
Mm,
on it, I don't think he deserved that phone call. I just don't think that he deserved it. Maybe it shifted something in him, maybe it didn't. And I'm
sure.
not about holding on to bitterness. But so going back to your question, I know that was another story, but I think
Yeah, I
it's
love it.
important is how did I get to where I am now of healing this work? It came from being radically honest with myself,
Mhm.
putting myself in containers and situations, getting support along the way, to
Yeah.
do what I thought I needed to do in order to heal, regardless of how I felt, and then ripping off the band-aid and taking massive action. So that was some of the action that wasn't great. But later on, I learned trauma release and all this other stuff. And that brought me into a place of like wholeness, discernment, letting it go. But also, like, now it's my responsibility to share these stories with
Yeah.
others because a big part of me is like, I'm here to help women heal um,
Mhm.
sexual abuse, even though that's not what I do for a living, like, that's not my
Right.
offer. It's a
Right.
big part of, like, who I am as a person and something that I think that's wrong in a world where women's voices are not being heard.
Wow. That's really powerful. That's amazing. So the radical honesty, I feel, ties in with why your business is radically aligned, correct? Like it's the honesty piece, but it's the storytelling piece, the honesty piece, but it's also that intuitive piece, the aligned piece. Is that right? And assuming that?
Yeah, so radically aligned is actually kind of a system that works together. There are different programs and things I've done in the past. For a long time, it was very much like, hey, heal your trauma, turn it into a gift. People would have
Right.
spiritual needs, right? So,
Yeah.
pillar number one is truth. The truth is what's true for me now, but also what is the higher truth, which has to do with healing and releasing our trauma and also spirituality of whatever is brought to you, whatever aligns for you. Everyone has different
Yeah.
experiences. The
Yeah.
second one is love, living and leading from the heart. So that's relationships, that's being loving and kind. And then the third pillar is purpose. What is my purpose? What is my impact? And then there's another element of wisdom. The wisdom continue to learn always on the journey of coming back to truth, our healing, our awakening, spirituality, all the things, because I'm always evolving. What was true for me 10 years ago isn't fully true for me now because I have more wisdom, I have more discernment. The way I was loving before might have been self sacrificing. And so, love to me, being loving to others, is different than it was 5, 10 years ago, right? So,
Right.
it's like
Right.
constant evolution of all of those to be in radical alignment based on where we're at today and where we're going.
Oh my gosh, it's so fucking powerful. Everything you've said, I'm like, oh my God. You obviously just have this way of, I imagine, like through your containers, especially, like you have this way of igniting this fire in other women specifically to also tell their story and to almost like align their story with their brand and bring that to light. And then there's just something to be said about when we finally have the courage to speak our truth and to share our stories, how that then brings, and you've experienced this obviously, then brings the healing that they so badly needed. I mean, I think specifically like with my thyroid issues, like once I made that conscious decision to start the podcast, to start speaking my truth and call out the BS that I feel like needs to be called out, it was like I cracked open in a way and the healing. I mean, and I've always really been on a healing journey since college, on and off, but the healing that comes from specifically getting the courage to speak your truth in an aligned way, it's unlike any other form of healing, I feel. And I feel like you give that gift to women, and that's just a gift that not just anybody can give. And I think you give it because you've lived it yourself and you've learned how powerful it is in your own healing journey. And obviously, you just want that for others. It's just a whole full circle, beautiful moment that I feel you are experiencing and re-giving. It's
Thank
amazing.
you. With the storytelling, it's interesting because I feel like people experience themselves in your stories. So anyone
Yes.
who's listening to the stories I shared, they're going to have their own, I'm in that right now, or oh, I was in that before, or oh, I need to
Yeah.
leave a relationship. Like there's this
Yes.
event that I run. It's called the Awakening Her. Well, there's an Awakening Her festival, there's Awakening Her Summit, there's
Okay.
different Awakening Her experiences that are going to be coming out more in 2026. But
Okay.
there are people at this, this is maybe, maybe a little bit too much information, but hey, why not?
Yeah.
Um,
No. No
there's this
such thing.
woman at the event, at our last Awakening Her Summit in Vancouver that hadn't had her menstrual cycle in years. Years, okay? And was in a relationship where she was with him for all the wrong reasons, and it was like, I think it was really suppressing her. And so one of her intentions was like, I want to have clarity around this relationship and like, hey, I haven't had a menstrual cycle in years, and I just feel like something's wrong with me, right? Shame. Something's wrong with me.
Yes.
We had all these incredible speakers talk about a lot of different things. Day 2 of the event, she got her period, and she also left the man that she was staying with, and she's like, "I am never going to rely on a man in this way anymore." And there were so many profound healings that naturally happened in the room because women were sharing their stories, and there's, like, this energetic frequency that happens in rooms that are intentional that just aren't just about business. Like business is great.
Yes.
I love business. I can help people scale their business, whatever. But there's
Yeah.
something powerful that happens when there's like this healing, connective permission space that's deeper
Mhm.
than just this is how I went from zero to X amount in my bank account and you can do it too.
Totally. Totally. I mean, when you are sharing stories, like, not just business, but, like, when you're sharing deep personal stories, the connection that builds is next level compared to, like, "Here's how I started my business. Here's how I started mine." Like, that's a great connection. That's maybe, like, more surface level connection, but then when you bring storytelling into it, that connection deepens on a whole 'nother level, so I could see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And storytelling too, like I love storytelling. I've always been a storyteller. And I remember years and years ago, I had this very clear, you could say download or
Mhm.
realization. And it was like God was like, "You're supposed to tell stories." And I was like, this is years before I was in this space of like helping people develop their stories and their brand. Like it was not something I did. It wasn't, I was like totally like, no, it didn't click. But about like 6 months ago, I was like, oh yeah, that I had a vision that I'm like literally supposed to just share stories because stories are transformational. You know, as a speaker, like I've spoken on a lot of stages, I've spoken on a lot of podcasts. I help people speak on stages and podcasts and be magnetic, but more importantly, like, bring in and attract their ideal clients that they're here to expand.
Mm. Mhm.
How much money you can make from this exposure. Yes, you'll make money from all these things when you're sharing your gifts, sharing your talents and storytelling, the right people will be like, "Oh, I need to work with that person. They're so this, I'm missing that," or "Oh my gosh, like I have this issue, I need support with them." But they feel an emotional connection. Storytelling, it brings people into your life. It gets people to bring them into themselves on an emotional level. We are emotional beings, and when we feel an emotion, when someone is sharing a story, we feel more connected to them, and when we can trust them more, and it reveals who people are. So some people who might be listening to the show right now or see me on a stage might be like, "Whoa, this chick is way too much for me. This is too deep. This is not it." And that's perfect for the right people. Other people who are like, "I love like integrative healing,
Yes.
step on stage, but I've got some shame and I've got some stuff in the
Yep.
way and I want to make a big impact and like, hey, like I've been through a lot of similar things." They're going to be like, "That's my person that I want to work with." And
Mhm.
that's what
Mhm.
story does, but it also
Yeah.
it really is the difference between someone who's not doing well in their business and someone who's doing well. When you learn how to incorporate storytelling into your business to build your brand, that's when you're brand takes off, and that's when you get on bigger stages, bigger podcasts. Like, I've been on podcasts with millions of listeners because of my stories, not
Yeah.
because I am like the most perfect looking woman on the internet who's like, perfect music, everything's going viral. Like, no,
Yeah.
I don't really use social media a lot for my business, but it's because people will hear me on a podcast or see me on a stage and they'll be like, oh my gosh, you have to have Deidre on stage or you have to have her. And that's what happens with my clients too. And that is really about being magnetic and being in alignment with who you truly are and transforming your
Mhm.
trauma, your stuff, your life experiences into a gift for others. So it's just like it's the path of least resistance when building a brand too. Like so many people are like, I need to go viral on social media. I'm like, I do not want to play that game. That's not for me.
I
But if you want to
agree.
be yourself, this is the way to do it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god, that's such powerful truth right there. I think building a business, people get so hyper focused on getting up to that next level financially or with followers or subscribers or whatever the number is that you're trying to get to. But ultimately, I think when you focus on the relationship side of things, like I just want to build a relationship with my ideal clients because then they're more likely to want to take my course or they're more likely to want to pay for my program. There's just once that relationship is formed, I think that's more powerful than people subscribing to your newsletters or people following you online or whatever it might be. I just think that storytelling, like that's the hook that
Yeah,
brings people
relationships
in.
are so big. Sorry,
I really think that's the key. I think you hit on it. And what you said earlier about like people when you're telling your story and people naturally like see themselves in you, which makes sense. We're mirrors of each other. So when you were saying like some people this won't resonate with or it'll trigger people, it's because you're mirroring to them something that they don't necessarily like or an insecurity. And that's fine. Those might not be your people. But then like as you were telling your first story, I'm sitting here like seeing and thinking about my own trauma similar to yours and like you do this reflection while people are storytelling and it either hits home for you or it's like oh no I'm not there yet and that's fine if you're not there yet then you're this isn't meant for you but if it resonates with you if it really hits home for you it's like this is what I need this is where I'm meant to go it's
yeah.
powerful
I love that. Also,
beautiful
it's interesting. I got advice from a mentor of mine. I'm not going to mention any names, but this is someone who's doing really, really big things. And we were on a call recently, and he was like, Dee, if you really share all parts of yourself, you are going to, he's like, you are going to not be for everyone. Like, he was very much like, I mean, he's amazing at what he does. He does incredible big things. And he's way more successful than me financially, right? So probably some good advice, but one of my top values is authenticity and truth. If it's not authentic, if it's not true in business with programs or things I'm running, I can't do it. Like I'm like, I can't. I'm at a point in my life where I can't fake something. I can't go along with something. Not that I need to use my voice and say, I don't agree with this. I'm not talking about like, inserting my opinion everywhere. I actually don't do that because I have discernment and I want to be in alignment with my time and my energy. So I'm not someone on the internet to get everyone to believe me. It doesn't matter. But
right
when
right
this person said it, I got off the call and I was like, ooh, no, no. Because the thing is, when you are authentically yourself, right? When you're fully yourself, and I'm not talking about like bringing the dimmed down version of yourself everywhere you go and bringing people down with you if you're having a bad day. Like, I'm the type of person, if I'm not feeling good, I will not go out and see people because I know I need to be responsible for my energy. But
yeah
also, if I'm out and everyone's like, how are things going? And I'm maybe not in a great place, I'll be like, you know what? I'd rather talk about you. Or you know what? Moving through some stuff. Like I know how to pivot and talk about
yeah
things without bringing the energy down. And I also know my safe spaces and places and people. But
mm-hmm.
anyways, going back to what I was saying, I just went on a little like, tangent. He's like, hey Dee, I just want you to know like a lot of people might not want to, work with you or be around you if they know that this is like what you believe. And I'm like, well, that's okay because I'm tired. And I say tired,
yeah
I'm an
yeah
old soul. I know I've been here many times before. I'm not here to be for everyone, and I think that that actually is what has blown up my brand. I've been on podcasts and stages where I've talked about meeting my very first live angel, you know, years and years
Yeah.
ago when I was in Bali.
Yeah.
I talked about, hey, I can see disease in people's bodies and dead people talk to me. Like, this is
Right.
not me saying, hey, I'm special or whatever.
Right.
It's like, this is just who I am. Like, I am very
Yep.
spiritually connected to
Yep.
people. I know things because I am very psychic. Um,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yes, I do.
I'm not here to be like, I'm going to fit into a box that everyone understands.
No.
This is who I am. And you can like it or not. You can be like, she's for me or not for me. And the people I want to attract in my business and in my life are people that are like, I don't understand that, but I still want to work with her. And that's cool. I don't
Yes.
work with people who are like, oh, she's into witchcraft or,
No.
oh, she needs to find Jesus. I know Jesus. I know God. I know
Yep.
all those things because
Yep.
there's so much projection, but I don't want to be around people who are emotionally immature. So it's actually
Yes.
perfectly aligned for my brand, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, 100%. I feel you. And if you were to put yourself in a box, your business would not be thriving. So you just can't do that. That's just not the answer.
No,
And
no.
you're 100% right. Like the people that get you or that are open to what you're saying, they are just going to be so much more attracted to you because you're putting yourself out there and being completely honest and authentic about your lived experience. I mean, we are all emotional beings on a spiritual world, in a spiritual world. And so to not bring the spiritual aspect into your business, into your stories, you're going to miss a lot of people that need to hear from you. And so that's important.
Girl, I just had a moment, like, I love this conversation, it's flowing so well, you're such a great
Yeah.
host. It's interesting because something that just came forward for me, and I love that you're like, "We're gonna go with the flow and see what comes up." It's like, I
Yeah.
feel like one thing I've really experienced, I just did a podcast episode on this myself, is, like, there's a lot of spiritual confusion going on right now, like,
Yes.
I like going to church because I really do like a lot of the things that are said with Christianity, I really resonate with it a lot. And I also really resonate with a lot of my lived experiences that I'm like, this is truth. This is truth. And but I see on every side of everything, we're
Mhm.
all humans. We all are distorted. We all
Yep.
have projections and we're trying to make and I say we collectively, we're trying to make everyone who's doing something differently wrong and bad to protect
Mhm.
ourselves because we don't understand it. So the fastest way to like bring people together, I think, is storytelling, but also being open to other people's lived experiences because I
Yes.
don't know everything about anything actually
Right.
outside of like my lived experience and my truth. But I
Right.
think we're in a space of a lot of people are spiritually confused.
Yeah,
They
I
want to fit
agree.
into a box because
Yes.
it's easier. I was like that. Like I'm not a new ager. I wouldn't resonate as that because I'm not practicing certain rituals. I just have had all these lived experiences that I know are true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like new age, I'm like, this is not new age. Like this is
No,
ancient wisdom, you know?
I
And like,
agree. Yeah.
so I feel like
Yep.
that's something I want to kind of start to dissect a little bit because
Mhm.
I find it really interesting how we're so divisive in the world that we
Yeah,
live in
I
every single level.
right. I completely agree, and as you were talking, I got this download of, like, the answer is that we just need to throw the GD box out the window. Like, stop trying to box people in. There's no box. Throw the box out and just, like you said, be open to everybody's lived experiences and lived realities. I mean, I
Hmm.
just feel like that's the answer, but we do just naturally try to put people into these schemas and boxes that we think the world needs to be neat and tidy like that, and it's like, that's just not how we experience life. So,
Yeah.
take the box, throw the box out. Yeah, very well
Throw the
said.
box out.
Right.
Yes. And
Yeah.
this is also like storytelling is so key and vital for people, especially women. We're multifaceted. You're
Yeah.
multifaceted. You have like a
Yep.
practice with what you do. You're building other things. You're doing all these
Mhm.
things. You are
Yep.
multidimensional and you
Right.
are allowed to be all of that. And storytelling helps you be seen as that as well.
Yep.
So I love what you said, throw the box out. We're throwing the box out. It's gone.
That's the answer. That'll be the title of our episode. I love it. I love that. Okay, so if somebody's listening and you are just speaking directly to their soul, which that's me, I'm that somebody, and they're just really feeling called, like, she's right. I have a purpose. I have a story. I want to start telling it. This is my time. I need to step out. What would be maybe the one piece of advice you would give them? Like, where could they start?
Yeah. So the first thing is, what you can do is you can look at what is a pivotal moment I've had in my life. What are the lessons that I've learned attached to that pivotal moment? So a pivotal moment for me was me losing a chunk of hair. I mean, like, oh, I can't really hide this anymore. I need to
Yeah.
like really get to the truth of what's going on and I need to change
Yeah.
my life. Like if I didn't
Right.
lose a chunk of hair, I probably wouldn't have changed, which is crazy. So like God universe was like, we're gonna go after her hair because he is vain in this way. This is something she
So
cares about
crazy.
and we're gonna get her to pay attention. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't hide it anymore," right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the first thing is just understanding that there's a story, and there's actually probably a lot of stories that you wanna tell,
Probably.
you'll
Yeah.
wanna tell your friend.
Yeah.
And, like, what is a pivotal moment that you've had in your life that changed who you are? What did you learn from it? And also, what are you here to teach as a result of it? Like, my story, even though the story I shared was like, "Hey, I lost a chunk of hair," all this stuff.
Right.
I my offering isn't specifically around how to get out of a negative relationship. It's not that. It's not how to heal your physical body. People have
Right.
those experiences when they're in my containers as a natural byproduct of being in my space, but that
Yeah.
there's no course directly connected to it. Taking out your offer, but just really looking at what is a powerful pivotal moment I had? What did I learn? What was the pain I experienced? Because that's potentially what people are experiencing right now who are
Yes.
in it and how can
Yes.
I help people get out of it? I think that's number 1, and then if you're wanting to, like, really, learn how to do a TEDx or get on stages, write a book, get on podcasts, and grow your business, maybe you already have a business, but you're like, "I wanna do 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, beyond, beyond, beyond. And you're like, I really just want to make an impact. Like everyone I attract, they're impact driven entrepreneurs, they're not money driven entrepreneurs. Then reach out to me. I have programs and offerings where I can help you curate your story so that even if it's a hard story that you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how to tell this story without vomiting on people and it's emotional, I have your back. I can show you how to do that in an effective way that blows up whatever you want to do. And I'd love to support you.
Cool. That's amazing. So I'm just curious what's next for you? What's coming down the pipe? Just keeping in mind, yes, we're recording this at the end of 2025, but full transparency, it's probably not going to be live until um I don't know, like early spring 2026. So what's coming down the pipe for you if people are interested?
Wow. Okay, this is good timing. So I will have to drop some links to you, Stephanie, for
Okay.
what's happening around then. I
Yep.
do have some in-person events happening. Dates will be listed below in the show notes because they are, as we're recording this in 2025, they have not been determined, but they are in the spring. There's going to be some Awakening Her events happening in Canada, most likely Vancouver, BC, and also Toronto, probably between March and June. There will be an event
Awesome.
each location. So, Stephanie, I'd love for you to come. And
Yeah.
it's where we're doing all of this work. We're bringing all parts of ourselves as women. We're stepping into our voice. We're releasing emotional baggage and shit that's been holding us back. And we're also claiming our new identity and where we're going. And it is an awakening her experience. So those are
Yeah.
some pieces. My music is also dropping in 2026. I have a musical album that it will be on Spotify. One song has already been out, but there will be one new song released every 6 to 8 weeks in 2026 and two new
Shut
books
up.
are dropping. And two new books are dropping. So,
What, Deidre? So you're musically talented. You speak your truth through music and speaking and leading.
yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my God.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
the 2 new books, think of my music like it's Taylor Swifty, like it's Taylor Swift, but maybe a little bit more grounded. So I have one song that's out already. I'll drop the link below. It's called Touch My Skin. And I have a series of other songs that are coming out. So that will also be a part of the event, a part of the experience. We're going to do some heart releasing work around past love and experiences to clear. And then the books, there's 2 books. I won't say the titles because I mean, I guess I won't say the titles because there's a possibility one of them will change. One is for women who need to release past heartbreak and step into radical self love. And the other book is for men who have everything they want except for love. And it's a tune up for men to help wake them up to what women actually need to be happy and fulfilled in a long term relationship. So lots of stuff happening in 2026. I'd love for you to be a part of it, Stephanie, in some way. I'd love for you to come to an event or something.
I would love to go to Canada. I never thought I would say that because I'm definitely like a coastal beach girl, but like I'm hearing you talk and I'm like, maybe this is going to be my ticket to Canada.
Yes, I would love that. That'd be so
That's
awesome.
amazing. Oh my gosh. And just to like experience you live and experience your Awakening Her events live. I mean, I am picking up on your energy, your power just through this recording. And I'm like, God, I can imagine like what it would feel like to listen to her live and to be in her presence live. Like, I don't know. You just have this powerful energy about you. I can imagine it's a powerful experience for attendees. So yeah,
Thank you.
definitely going to put that on my radar.
I love running in-person events. It's so
I
fun.
bet.
Think
It's
of
gotta
like
feel amazing.
think of like an event that you're going to where you like, you kind of dress up, but you're also like comfy, like you're dressy but casual. Like I only wear things that are comfortable. Okay. So
Okay.
that's one of my things.
Okay.
Imagine going to an event where everyone in the room ends up being your best friend, true friend, whole
Yeah.
family and
Yeah.
healing your shit or releasing stuff. You have all these new friends, but also you're claiming your power. You're stepping into it. You're having these spiritual experiences and you're really clear on what you're doing in the world with your business. And you're like lit up. That's what this is.
Okay. That's amazing. That's very similar to the experience I have when I go to Powerhouse Women every year.
I love
I mean,
that.
I feel like I leave with like best friends in my circle that I maybe didn't have going into it, but you're adding in like the healing aspect to it. That's a need. So, very good to know that. If listeners want to connect with you more, what would be your ideal way of them connecting with you?
Yeah, so I would say definitely tune into the podcast. It's called Awakening Her Life and Business. So there is another podcast that has a similar name. So it is Awakening Her Life and Business podcast for women. And we'll drop the link in the show notes. And then Instagram, I check Instagram. I'm on there every day. So I definitely do message people back and all of that. So give me a follow, shoot me a message. And I love to hear what resonates and kind of what you're working on and all the things. And let's connect on there.
Awesome. That sounds great. Okay. So I do like to end with some rapid fire questions if you're open to that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So what is one moment that you knew you were meant to be a speaker?
I remember being at an event, this is like 10 years ago and or 9 years ago, and I was like at this cool event and I had my yoga company at the time, but I wasn't fulfilled in it. I was like, I want to let this go, but I was just like not feeling the way I wanted to feel. And I was at this event and I just saw these amazing magnetic speakers on stage. And I just remember being like, this is so fun. I want to do that. And it was just a
Yeah.
moment, this is for me. And then I decided it was for me. And then within a short amount of time, I became a speaker.
Amazing. Amazing. Because you listened to your intuition. It was aligned and meant for you. What is one belief or limiting belief that you had to shatter to get to where you're at today?
Ooh,
I mean, I
well,
know one of them was around like feeling like you're enough, but outside of that.
I think something that happened a couple years ago before a lot of big opportunities opened up was I was on a show and I had never shared like publicly about my spiritual experiences. It was
Mm,
always like, "Oh
mhm.
yeah, this is how you wake up to who you are." And like I would like lightly coat some of this stuff in my book and my work, but I didn't actually go full on with telling like this is my lived experience. I was on a podcast and the podcaster just asked all of these wild questions that I'd never been asked before. And I unfiltered shared so many stories. And as a result, I got like all these huge speaking gigs with like, top people in my industry around the world. I started to get on podcasts with hundreds of thousands and millions of listeners. And I was like, oh, it's safe to fully be me. Like I must actually fully be me because I was worried about the episode coming out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I talked about meeting live angels coming to Earth. I'm like, and it was like the opposite of what I thought it would be. So it's like authenticity, fully being who I am is the most important thing. And that's for everyone.
It is, I agree, and how often I mean, still today, I mean, I feel like I'm so good about, like, speaking authentically, but I still recognize this happens, like, how often do we go out, whether it be on a podcast or a stage or an interview or whatever, and you have the full intentions of like, I'm going to speak my truth and I'm going to share my story, but there's still like a part of us, there's still those limiting beliefs or that inner critic that's like, well, be careful, like don't tell too much, like you don't want to offend anyone or don't want to step on any toes, or there's like almost always that inner critic telling you like, well, don't go completely all out. And when you did that, look at how it transformed you and look at what it led you to. Holy shit, that's such a powerful lesson that all of us can benefit from. Yeah, that's
100%.
amazing.
And it's like you must be willing to tell the stories and go all in if you want to be a change maker in the world. You
Yeah.
can't be lukewarm. You have to be
No,
all in. And most people are just afraid of being seen or being judged. That's really what it is. And it comes down to core wounds of like, something's wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't have to do more work on yourself. I mean, you can do some more healing stuff within
sure,
yourself, but
sure.
you are not defective. You are a being who has work to do in the world and you have stories to share and they're going to help the right people. But if you hold them back, you are actually hurting yourself too because they're meant
Yeah,
to be shared. Yeah.
very well said. What is one daily habit that you try to incorporate into your routine every day that makes you feel like your next level self?
You know what? Past version of me would have all these like fancy things. I just exercise every day. That's basically
Awesome.
it. And I take my vitamins. Like those are like,
Yep,
that's just like if I do that, I'm like on the right path. And if I don't do that, then I'm like, oh, I don't feel the way I want to feel.
totally. What's your go-to exercise right now? Do you do strength training? Do you do yoga? What do you do?
Yeah, strength training. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's my goal is to get back into strength training since having my son. I have not really prioritized it as much, but that is my goal.
Love that. You just did it. That's awesome. Good accountability.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just the season I'm in, I'm just not willing to trade my time with him for anything else right now. But I know that season will eventually pass. But
Mhm.
it's so important. I mean, we hear so many times, like from my integrated practitioner, like if you don't use it, you lose it. And that is constantly in the back of my head, maybe almost to a detriment, but, like, yeah, I just think strength training is so important, especially, like, for 30s, 40-year-old women, like, I think that's so important.
What if you had like, I mean, can I bring something up? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
do it. Go there, yep.
There's this woman that I had on my show, this last year, and she talks a lot about, putting yourself first no matter what. Like, no matter what. Of course, you have kids, dependents. I'm not saying don't do that. But,
Right,
like,
right.
what if you're like, okay, every morning for 15 minutes, my partner is going to take care of the kids no matter what. So I get that 15 minutes in because 15 to 20 minutes, you could even have a home workout. Like there's like
Yeah,
no excuses. And I just want to
yeah.
say that because we need to start putting ourselves first and stop postponing feeling good in our body. And I don't want you to postpone it.
I do agree, that really does resonate with me because I have said since the day we found out, so we adopted my son, but since the day we found out that we were getting him, I was like, and even before that day, in my whole fertility journey, I was very adamant that I'm going to be the woman and a mom who does not put myself on the back burner, who shows her child or children that I can still prioritize me and be a good present mom. And so that just really resonates with me completely. And that's not unrealistic. A strength training is not unrealistic in my opinion.
It might just be like what I really love is habit stacking. So for me,
Yes, agreed.
when I go to the gym, I go to the gym at the same time every day. I go to the gym, I come back, I have a smoothie, I have my
Mhm.
vitamins, I like
Yeah.
do all of those things. It's a habit stack. And so you can just say, okay, before I have my coffee or before this thing that I normally do, or when I drop my kid off at school or whatever it is, I'm going to spend 15 minutes and it's like no matter what. And then you have to enroll your partner in it and say, hey, this is happening. Not,
Yeah.
"Well, can I do this? Can I not do this?" Because women do that all the
Right.
time. Like, I've learned a lot from other women, but also it's like, as women, we're like, "Oh, well, it's inconvenient. Just tell the guy this is what I need or the person that you're with, like, I need these 15 minutes. This is what I need from you. I'm gonna be in the other room. I'm not available." And then just set up a gym at home. If you wait,
Yes.
you're good. You don't need a lot,
Yep.
but you need to just say it, declare
I
it, put it
agree.
on the fridge, let everyone know.
I love that. Yeah, I'm gonna run with that. I mean, actually think I already have the equipment at home, so I actually think it's gonna be easier to
Perfect.
follow through on that if it's already here. Okay,
Perfect.
last one. What is the biggest obstacle that you have overcome in your business to get to where you're at today?
Biggest obstacle in my business. I feel like every obstacle is a personal obstacle. I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, sales," or,
Nope, it's
marketing. It's
personal.
never about anything business related. It's
Yep.
about me deciding I'm doing something and just doing it. And I think
Mhm,
that anytime I'm back and forth, do I run this event? Do I do this thing? Whenever I'm like not taking action right away, there's a problem. So for me, the biggest thing is anytime I'm not in action because I'm not confident because I've like forgotten of my power or whatever, that is the obstacle. It's postponing stuff and not just
mhm.
pulling the trigger and saying this is happening now and it's going to be successful. And I would say that for the first events I ran, like, 7 years ago, it was like, I was like, oh, I'm running a first. Is anyone going to show up? Just
Yeah,
do it. So I would
yeah,
say that's something I'm pretty good at overcoming. But when that crawls in, I have to just do it. And then that's where the confidence comes from doing the thing that you're avoiding doing always.
I
So I have
agree.
to remind myself of that. I think everything is a confidence or action problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think most of our obstacles are more personal. I mean, when I look at, even between personal and business related, like I can do all the learning I need to around marketing, around social media, around AI, and that's all great and it definitely moves the needle in the business, but it doesn't move the needle forward as much as the personal healing, the personal growth. I think that stuff moves the needle more in my business than all the, like, business stuff does,
Yeah.
so very well said.
Mindset and energy is everything and also
It
environment.
is.
Like it's the
Yes.
foundation. Yeah.
Ugh, I am so glad that this is what kicked off my day. This was such a powerful collab. The conversation did not go exactly what I had envisioned, but I very much, and I told you this in the beginning, like my interviews are spirit led. So spirit will take us where we're meant to go. And it totally did. And I'm here for it. So thank you so much for sharing your stories and your expertise with my listeners. It's going to resonate so deeply with them. And I really hope that this connection leads me to going to Canada someday. So thank you.
Going to Canada spring. Let everyone know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm putting it out there. So, yep, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you again. And you guys, if any of this resonates with you, please don't hesitate to reach out to Deidre. She is a firecracker. I mean, she is just going to light a fire under your ass. If listening to this didn't, I would be shocked. Like, I would just be shocked to hear that. So, reach out to her if this really hits home for you. Feel free to DM her. If you have any questions, DM me as well. And until next time, have a great rest of your week. I'll talk to you guys all next week.
Big laugh.